Yeah.
All right. I mean, let's just get right into the documentary. Let's talk about the creative process first. Like, how did you even decide that this was something that needed to be done and that you were going to be the one to do it?
All right, so I'll start out here. I knew that this one, I'm a storyteller, producer, director, um, and have been in the hip hop space for a very long time. Um, have a love for music. I think that I don't know any person that doesn't have a brother, cousin, uncle that's a DJ. Who doesn't love the DJ, right? And mixtapes were a big part of it, have always been a big part of hip hop since I was younger. Getting Kid Capri was like getting your hands on a gold bar from Fort Knox, and through my work a bit later, working with different artists, working with different DJs, the mixtape was always a prevalent part of their success. It was always their starting point most times. And as a storyteller, I wanted to showcase that.
Right. I didn't start with y'all credits. I mean, I feel like both of your names kind of ring bells, and that's the easy part. But when you were deciding to craft this story, and I guess it started with you, Malik. So how did you decide who needed to be part of this? Who were the executive producers? Who were the people you had to talk to?
Well, and when it came to artists that we wanted to talk to, um, one was, you go after the biggest legends, right? You go after Brucey B, you go after, Ron G, you talk to Kid Capri, you know. I think of Clue and Envy and those guys are, we're like peers, like same age range
Yeah.
and a lot of friends in common, even before meeting. But to be able to tell that complete story, that's where, honestly, that's where Kim came in. Um, you know, Kim's uh uh Kim's pedigree, her um everything that she brings to hip hop and the culture, it made perfect sense. So I'm glad I didn't have to like beg her to like, yo, please, please. But because I know she saw the value in this, and I'll let her kind of like, speak from there.
Definitely. So Malik and I worked together for many years before this doc. And I think in this business, right, relationships are our currency. You've often heard that. So we had a really good working relationship. We had a flow in terms of me, what I do on the writing side and what he does on the directing side. So with that, when this project came up, it was sort of like a no-brainer because we've got so many things in the works together, whether they go to certain networks or, we decide let's kind of put our brains together and work on this. We choose projects that we're passionate about and we collaborate on those projects. And this was one because of our love for mixtape culture. That was easy for us to say, yeah, let's definitely do this.
Okay. Okay. Um, let's talk favorite mixtapes, right? I think before we can even get to the into everything, right? Like, what were your favorite mixtapes coming up? What were some mixtapes that to this day still stick out and like just unforgettable?
Well, for me, my favorite mixtape is Doo Wop 95 Live. Um, a lot of times, our favorite song or album, artist, etc., is normally like around whatever we feel is like one of the greatest times of our life. It kind of like takes us back to that space. At that time, I was a student at Morgan State University. We're throwing parties. We had this DJ come out, that DJ come out. And honestly, that's where I met Envy at the first time coming through Morgan State. But that mixtape, to me, it was monumental. You had the biggest artists all on there. Um, and at this point, and Doo-Wop to me is one of the best. He can rap, like he can spit. Doo-Wop, Bounce Squad, Unique, uh, Snaggerpuss. they're all amazing. And you know, you have that, and then mixed with you know, Gangsta Guru and Fat Joe and Raekwon and all those guys on there. You know, that one to me, it just that was it. That was it.
Kimberly.
Hey, so this is a hard question for me because the last time I actually put a mixtape in and listened to a mixtape, Corey's making a cameo. You know, I can't even remember. It was like over 15 years ago, but I've always been a fan of the blend tape. So, and I hate picking favorites, right? Especially because I love doo-wop and he's from the Bronx. But I was really, really big on Kid Capri. And if you remember, I think they even, you know, these mixtape DJs, they were very heavy in the battling of it all. What we're seeing today, this is nothing new, right? Rap beef. It's just that we haven't seen it in a long time. And I remember they used to battle on tapes. And so I forgot the tape that I am thinking of, but it was a very, very big Kid Capri tape. Malik, you should help me out here, but okay, I see you're not gonna
52
I'm
beats?
gonna struggle. Is it is it 52 beats or like 50 MCs?
Well, Kid Capri is 52 beats. That's number one. That's what most DJs, that's
Right.
their favorites. Yes.
So there you go. But
Yeah.
also, you know, I love the Ron G tapes. I remember I used to work at, this is like one of those tidbits of information that people don't know. People are like, you used to work there? I used to work at Millbank on 118th Street. And if you're familiar, it's a Children's Aid Society. It was one of my first jobs. I was a cheerleading coach and a counselor there. And some of my former cheerleaders are actually in their 40s. So that just goes to show you how old I am. But we used to use mixtapes to choreograph their dances, right? Because of the blends and the beats. And, you know, it just kind of was this flowing sort of never ending music. And I think what we see today, even in building playlists, really is us as fans of the music curating the music in the way that the mixtape DJs did it in our day.
For sure.
And just really quickly, you know, off of the battle thing, years ago at Morgan State, there was a TTC Timberland Entertainment Party with Ron G versus DJ SNS. And we had them in separate rooms, and based on who you like most or what you was hearing is how you gravitated. But it was, you know, they still, you know, showed each other a lot of love and respect and camaraderie, which was dope. But yeah, the battle thing with the DJs has been going on since the beginning.
All right, all right. While you were putting this documentary together, and you're talking about at least 20 years of that golden era of mixtapes, like what was kind of the hardest thing to, like, you know, get it down, but make sure you included as many people as possible?
You know, when it comes to doing any project, you know, talent wrangling can be it can be a challenge at times, you know. We set out to talk to as many people as we could. We're very fortunate to get Brucey B. We were very fortunate to get Kid Capri. You know, some of the other DJs weren't available due to personal schedules or like, you know, health stuff, to be honest. But you know, we go into this saying, you know what, we're gonna tell the best story possible. Even if a person isn't available for an interview, we can still tell a story through archival, through, you know, other avenues and whatnot. And I think we did a really, really good job. And it was important that we were able to get some mixtapes that Brucey did, like original ones, because, you know, him doing tapes at the rooftop and doing, you know, duplicating one at a time in real time, you know, that's a painstaking thing. So to be able to get our hands on that for the project was gold.
I want to just add, because I think Malik so graciously said that it was challenging. And there are challenges when you do this. But let's just, you know, keep it 100. It ain't easy to get people to sit down for an interview these days, right? I think the value in this is now that it is out there, when we go in to get more people to do a part 2 or a different sort of version of anything that we're working on, it's here to say, okay, look, this was Tail of the Tape. we did the best job we could do with the story, with the interviews we had, and I think we did a great job, but the story continues. And so we will be able to go in there and get more people to sit down. I mean, you know how it is when you're trying to get an interview set. People don't want to come outside unless they are promoting their own thing. And it's understandable. I'm not knocking anybody. That's understandable. You know, time and energy, I think from people, you're taking a lot, but when you're working on something that you're passionate about, a lot of people do see the value in that and understand, like, us telling these stories are very important. So we're very thankful for the people that participated in the doc.
Sure, yes. It's hard getting people to come outside. Even worse post-pandemic. I know that post-pandemic also was different. But it's also, you know, the mixtape game is changing for young folks. They might not even know what yes, we've had mixtapes in the last few years, but they're not what, you know, we know as mixtapes. So what were you, I guess, what were you hoping that the younger viewer got from this document?
I felt that it was important that younger folk and younger DJs as well were able to kind of like, get a real history lesson as to what their DJing forefathers did, the groundwork that they laid. Even though Clue and Envy and all those guys, they look pretty young. They've been in this game 20 plus years and we're able to I think we did a good job of showcasing how every DJ in a linear perspective was able to build off of the last one and add their thing to it, but also, take the genre of hip hop a little bit further, move the needle each time, from Bruce to Kid Capri to SNS to, to Clue to Who Kid, like, and I wanted people to, be able to watch this and say, wow, this is, not just really, really dope and really, really entertaining, but, learn some stuff.
Why do you think, and both of you, I know streaming is probably culprit number one, but why do you think mixtapes and the love for the DJ might not be what it used to be?
I'll let Kim lead with this one.
I think the definition as we know it of mixtape has changed. And I think that's one of the reasons why we decided to start with the Kendricks and the J. Coles to kind of give today's listener more context as to where they are. But for us, I just feel like, we're tasked with telling these stories, but the younger generation, they have no real concept of what the history is. So if we don't get it out and we don't kind of document it, it's not going to live on, right? DJing, I think, is a part of the history, the foundation. We used to talk about hip hop in terms of elements. I remember that. And I Googled something recently for a project I was on where it was like, wait, it's more elements of hip hop all of a sudden. It started with 4, right? It was like, oh, it's DJ break dancing, and those were the original elements. And I remember that's how we defined it. And these days there's so many different offshoots of hip hop. You can't even really define it as like the original elements. So you got to understand the impact that the DJ has had on the culture, because we don't know with technology changing what that's going to morph into, if anything.
Right.
Yeah, there's like, a few years ago, I was told that, Rap Caviar was like the modern day mixtape, which was like a playlist on Spotify that
Shout out to Carl.
Shout out to Carl. That artists were like dying to get on. You know what I mean? And so it gave us even more of a spark to make sure let's get this finished here because, that wasn't it. Like that's so far from what it is.
And I'm only bringing this up because Kim kind of gave me the window. And it's part of a conversation I had recently because you talked about hip hop culture, and the question, especially with everything else that's going on, we're not gonna get into the beef at all. But what are your thoughts on hip hop culture being synonymous with Black culture? Is that it? Should it be synonymous, or is it synonymous?
Yeah, I think it is synonymous. I think it's synonymous with Black and brown culture. Um, and I personally, I don't have a problem with it. And I mean, let's be real, like, it started out as a voice for the voiceless, um, but showcasing itself in a very artistic way. And I think it's still, it's like that even now. Um, and I think that the best artists, whether it's Kendrick, whether it's Cole, whether you think it's Drake, etc., are the ones that are able to express themselves, and express, multiple points of view of what culturally hip hop is.
I would definitely say it's synonymous. I think that it's very interesting because you see how far hip hop has come. So it's our responsibility to be able to keep that, right? And be able to tell these stories and let people know what the history is and where the culture started. Because listen, I'm guilty of it. My favorite thing to do right now, I just did it today, is find these Instagram clips of white folk this is so politically incorrect, of white folk breaking down the Kendrick and Drake beef. I don't know why I think it's funny, but it's like a thing on social media. So when I see that, I'm like, wow. And it's like one of them I sent to my friends today was a 70-year-old white woman, and she was explaining it, and it was like a whole skit about breaking down the beef. But just seeing that, I'm like, this culture has become so it's beyond pop culture. It's like in people's homes, in their kitchens, in the suburbs. So it's just grown so much and so much out of what the inception of it was. That's why when you asked that question, I was like, oh, that's a layered question. I don't think I can answer that in one sentence, right? But that's why we have to do our duty in telling these stories, because they telling them on Instagram in the kitchen by 70-year-old white women, and it's funny. So it's spreading that way. That's what's happening right now on social media, just so y'all know.
For sure.
Love it. I love it.
I before I get into what do you have coming up next or any other projects you're working on, because we've been talking about the elements, and I want to say that breakdancing will be part of the Olympics this year. Any thoughts on doing something for that?
Um, it's funny because one of me and Kim's first times working together, I believe we interviewed Crazy Legs. I don't remember where we were. But we were, but we were together. And I, I don't have anything lined up yet, but I will. I'm working on some pitches on doing some stuff with breakdance, not just breakdancing, but also double dutch,
Okay, double dutch, yes.
because it's part of the Olympics now.
My sister used to jump double dutch. I used to go to all the competition. You're really dating us here, Malik. I think that we have a lot of projects in the work, and it's like, and that was, I don't remember that Crazy Legs interview. I'm sure, Malik, it was for something we were working on, and I've heard people reference, the sport in the Olympics now. I don't know too much about it. Like, I'm still doing my research about how it's, and I'm watching his social media. Like, if Legs puts it on his social media, that's how I'm educated on it these days. But I think it's an amazing accomplishment, right? To be able to showcase the art form and the culture in that way on that type of scale. We have a lot of projects coming up, but I think we've got to prioritize them and get them done, right? For me, I've been mostly, I've been doing a lot in the reality space. A lot of people know that that's where my main lane is, but we're transitioning over to tell more of these stories in the core of hip hop. Again, hip hop definitely runs the space that I'm in right now when it comes to reality. So that's just another way of showing how influential the culture has become. I'm literally getting handpicked for projects for networks you wouldn't even think, and they don't, I get on a lot of calls. They don't know a lot about the culture, but they want in.
And there will be another version, series, iteration of Tale of the Tape. There will be more.
Okay. You want to give more detail, or talking a series? We talking? What we talking?
I mean, you can think hip hop evolution, but with mixtapes, so there'll be, the ink isn't dry on everything yet, so we don't want to put that out there, but there will be, more iterations like a series.
Got it. Planning wise, did the thoughts around this come around the 50th anniversary of hip hop, or totally separate?
Totally separate. We've been working on this well over 10 years,
Wow.
to be honest. Yeah. And when you do things like that, you do projects, such as this, we were fortunate to be able to, interview, Prodigy, fortunate to be able to, capture Combat Jack and be able to, pretty much immortalize them. And that's not something we take lightly. So again, this project has been a labor of love. And we're just really, really happy that, the reception is getting and it's seeing the light of day.
Sure.
Yeah, storytelling is our business, right? And we like to do stories that we're passionate about. But in all honesty, the stories that are selling and really getting funded are not in this lane. And that's why I think putting out this documentary, being able to honor the DJ, to say, look, we're here, we're documenting your stories and continuing to do these projects is what I think is going to help people pay attention to, our founders of the culture.
Sure. Okay. Probably the last question is something hopefully easy. You're putting together a mixtape. What is playlist, however you want to do it in 2024? What's the first song and what's your last song?
I'm gonna pick the first song and do Not Like Us, Kendrick. And I'll let Kim pick the last song.
I'm gonna go with the last song is Not Like Us, Kendrick. We're gonna start it with the Kendrick song, and we're going to end it with the Kendrick song.
Oh
I
man.
mean, the way that song has become just so viral, and like this week, you can't have a mixtape with anything else. You just gotta keep playing it. You gotta keep playing it.
That's it. And I don't think anybody can like remix it. I don't think anybody else can jump on that beat and it's gonna be like, you know what I mean? It just can't happen. It's Kendrick's.
Ask my kids when I was with them at dinner for Mother's Day. My kids are into this. I kept saying at the dinner table, mustard on a beat. That my kids will tell you that's what I kept saying at dinner to them, and they just thought it was so funny. It's just embedded in my head for the next week.
Malik, only because you said it. So you said nobody else could jump on that beat. I was literally just saying that LA, the question was posed, is this song going to help bring LA back to the forefront of hip hop? Right. And I was saying the only way that could happen is if they were to remix this track and put a bunch of those other guys from LA on it. Do you think that's possible?
I've never been a fan of the super large remixes personally. I don't care what song it was. It's just like, I mean, it can be cool. I think if Kendrick does it with, some of his TDE, family, Schoolboy Q and J Rock, whatever, I think they can, I think they can go. But if you try to make it like, you're throwing everybody on there from Glasses Malone and all these other, Nah, he caught lightning in the bottle, and it's hard to like open that up and bring people in.
Right, right. Yeah, I'm surprised about that track, and didn't think that was gonna be the one that did that, but that's hip hop.
Yeah, and Mustard is that dude, right? Yeah, you would thought he would have got some from Metro Boomin, but nah, he got some from Mustard.
I appreciate this. This was wonderful. Any final words? Any other projects you're working on? You want to mention anything like that?
Well, I do want people to please go to tailorthetapefilm.com. You can find all the info on where to watch it, from Amazon to Verizon to Spectrum. Please follow Red Summer TV, as well as Taylor the Tape Film on IG, because there's a lot of behind the scenes footage that we're putting up there. And you can just find updates about the film.
Perfect. Appreciate y'all again. Thank you very much. This was great.
Thank you. We
Thank
appreciate you.
you.
All right.
Have a great day.
All right. Thanks, man. Appreciate you.
Thank you. All right, we'll talk soon.
Bye.
Bye, y'all.
Thanks, Kev.
No doubt, man.
That was great.
I do.